This is the Generation Report. Although the primary focus of this series from the outset has been applying Strauss and Howe's theory of history and generations to understand the past and the present, there is another common thread that runs through most of the various topics I've discussed. Times may change, but human nature does not. It's always fascinating to consider events in the news in historical context once you read The Fourth Turning and understand its theory. But events in the news of late have gleaned insight into human nature just as much, as well as on another topic I discussed around this time last year. While I was a graduate student about a decade ago, I noticed that the culture of college campuses and the culture of the world of credentialed professionals were becoming increasingly indistinguishable. It's clear, in looking back, that this was happening as these two domains were becoming dominated by people with very similar experiences, ambitions, and sensibilities. And, just as importantly, as the people in these domains were increasingly coming in contact with each other and isolating from everyone else. I see clear parallels in what's going on in politics today. Western democratic nations, especially in the Anglosphere, now have political leaders and classes of elites who seem so remarkably similar to each other that there needs to be a descriptive term to use for the phenomenon as this fourth turning grows continually more tense. Fortunately, thanks to British historian Arnold Toynbee, a name for the phenomenon already exists. These political leaders and their fellow elites comprise dominant minorities, ruling classes characterized not only by their members' shared experiences, ambitions, and sensibilities, but by their conspicuous isolation and by their unimaginative exercising of leadership. Of course, dominant minorities themselves see their position and their leadership qualities somewhat differently. They really seem to believe that their own enlightened leadership can somehow transcend human nature, like leading a democracy while fleeing to an undisclosed location. So why is this trend coming to a head now? Here's a guess. For decades, the people who comprise today's elites have been growing more and more isolated, and in a context where a global pandemic is beginning to pass but the overall sense of crisis is not, the elites are failing to recognize that their separation has not only made them less competent at governing, but has created a vast values gulf from millions of their own citizens. Rather than consider the role they have played in creating today's tensions, today's elites largely blame others for them. After all, if everyone got on board with all of their enlightened ideas, we'd probably have a wonderful future to look forward to. Whether elites as a general pattern see history, in the words of Strauss and Howe, as akin to a ski jump, just now taking off on its glorious final flight, is a question that can be interpreted a number of different ways. It's becoming increasingly clear, however, that today's dominant minorities believe that those who oppose them are taking history off a cliff and are going to continue to act accordingly. I'm sure that if Toynbee were alive today, he would not be surprised. History is cyclical and human nature does not change. When powerful elites become entirely detached from both of these truths, it seems they will resort to almost anything. Where this will ultimately lead, I don't know, but I'm making plans to read some Huxley and Orwell very soon. Thank you for listening. If you enjoy this series, please like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone important to you. I'm Paul Zimi Finn. May God bless America.